Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians Mayapack Public Library's Pop Culture Podcast. Today we are continuing our comic book series with Annalisa's pick. It's a good thing she's
my
not...
pick.
Oh, this is your pick, Katie's
my pick.
Oh, so you probably should have brought us in. I thought it was Annalisa's. That's why I brought us in.
No.
Anyway, it's a good thing Annalisa's not here because she really doesn't like Batman or know anything about Batman or any characters within the Batman universe.
That's a lie.
So, today we're discussing Harleen. Katie's pick. Take it away, Kate.
So, Harleen is about Harley Quinn before she becomes Harley Quinn. And I chose this comic book because I'm not a huge comic book reader. Never really been a huge comic book reader. So I've always been...
I wouldn't say you're a huge anything.
Thanks, Lou.
Pretty normal sized.
Thanks, Lou.
Me, I love when the comic books are gigantic so I can read them more easily.
When Harley Quinn came into my lexicon of pulp culture was actually through Batman the Animated Series.
Which is where she originated.
Yes, cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's a transplant from the animated series. She didn't debut in, the canon comics until the late 90s, but
Interesting.
She was in a couple that were, based off the show.
See, I learned something new because I had no idea, and she's just been a really fascinating character to me, and I've always wanted to know her backstory, her origin story, essentially, how she got roped in with the Joker and all, their relationship, and how that whole dynamic kind of sprungboard up to how she is now. So I found this comic book thanks to Luke, because I had no idea what I was going to pick for my comic book series.
See, comic expert here.
Yeah. And I didn't really know what to expect coming into it, but I think my expectations were exceeded. I thought it was a really well-rounded story. I liked the fact that Harleen kind of had this darkness in her to start with, and even though the Joker obviously manipulated her into liking him enough to try and spoiler alert, break him out of Arkham, but to have her slowly falling into madness anyway was a really good way of showing that this isn't just a manipulation by the Joker. It's believable where she starts and how it ends. So I really enjoyed that. I really love the artwork in this comic book. I love the illustrations. The story's really good, and so it was all around very enjoyable to me. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna jump in there then. That's a nice segue. All right. I know Joe has. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys seen, I think it's season 8, episode maybe 4 or 5 of Game of Thrones? It's called The Bells.
It's been a very long time.
Yes.
So the bells just start ringing, and all of a sudden, Daenerys just goes crazy and starts burning everybody alive.
Yes. I remember this, yes.
So that's kind of how I felt reading this graphic novel.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like it just happened too quickly for me. Like her descent into almost even just how she fell in love. Yeah.
Well, the Joker, just to cut you off really quickly.
All right, because I know what you're going to say, and Joe and I have talked about this, and he looks ridiculous.
Looks awful.
Yeah.
They make him an anime boy. Yeah. It's so weird.
I feel so...
He looks like a model. Come on. That's not the Joker. You know what I mean?
Forgive me. So what I was going to say, before my colleagues attacked me, was that he's a very attractive man in this comic.
That's what we just said you were going to say.
Whatever. Listen, okay, fine. Maybe the Joker's not supposed to be attractive, but what I was going to say, had you let me finish, was I could understand the initial attraction, because as I was staring at that man, I was like, yes, he is crazy as all hell, but he is handsome as all hell, and I can kind of understand wanting to watch him sleep when he's shirtless. That's all I was going to say. Continue.
That's the creepiest thing I think that's ever been said on this podcast.
Really? I don't... Listen, if any of you got...
This is a podcast that used to have Amanda on it.
Yeah.
Well, I had to assume one role. I'm going to assume the creepy role. Anyway, if you've read this comic, let me know if you think the Joker's attractive or not.
I don't think we're arguing that he's attractive in it.
But
I
was
think
saying,
what we're arguing is that he shouldn't be as attractive as he is.
why not?
He's an evil clown who gets punched in the face every day.
I mean, you could also. You
All
could
right,
also.
you can take out the shirtless comment because now I just feel weird. Just
No,
cut
I
that
was
out.
only joking.
That's fine. They draw him like a K-pop idol in this. Like, he's very smooth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
His jaw.
But I'm sorry,
Look at that jaw he's
I
got.
interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I felt like her lust for him came a little too quickly for me.
Okay.
And
Well, I mean, in the flashbacks, she is kind of depicted that she does jump into relationships. You know what I mean?
but
Yeah.
this is like a he's like a-
she is here for work,
Yeah.
specifically to research people with antisocial personality disorders.
Right, and she becomes obsessed with the Joker because he starts manipulating her.
And
But
workplace
I don't know how much you
romances
know
are
about
a thing.
antisocial personality disorders, but that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
She should be a little more on the
Well,
lookout
okay.
there.
Okay.
I guess though.
Well, I just wanted. Let me put it in a different way. I wanted more.
Yeah,
I wanted
I
more.
think more time to breathe would have been good for
Okay.
it.
So
Yeah, all right.
I did read some reviews about the comic book, and all of them seem to be very glowing
Oh,
about
yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's what
But-
I'm very,
and-
very much in the minority here. I recognize that.
Well, and I think, well, I mean, just to like reiterate like the fast pace of it, I think what a good majority of the reviewers were saying was that they're hoping that there's going to be a second issue in this run of comics, because it does seem to be like a part one to a fuller story. So
There will not be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, he's the artist. I wish I could say his name correctly. Šejić. I'm sorry. It's an Eastern European name, and
Yeah.
it's over my head.
Well, yeah, it's over my
Mad
head as well.
apologies to you, man. But yeah, he's focusing on a lot more creator-owned stuff now. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then what I was going to say then is just a moot point. Then.
Just, what I will say is that the reason I wanted more of that was because I actually really liked
Yeah.
the interactions between Harley and the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked that. I liked their romance. I liked that they were coming together. I wish there was a little bit more of a build up, and I didn't need all the stuff with Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted more of them. Like,
Right.
that was the draw for me. Like,
Yeah.
I really
Right.
wanted more of them, the one-on-one stuff. I wanted the Clarice Starling, Hannibal Lecter, interviews, and then they end
Yeah.
up falling in love and doing it all day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, that's what
Yeah.
I was. That's what I
Yeah.
thought I was going to get from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when it does do that, that's the best parts of the book.
Yeah.
You guys agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean that's what we're here for. It's
Yeah.
called Harleen.
I'm coming from a perspective where, as I've mentioned before throughout the series, I have no experience with comic books. I have no experience with these characters outside. Yes, I know who the Joker is. I know who Harley Quinn is.
It's not like you've been living under a
Yeah,
rock.
they're very
That'd be
iconic
very
characters.
uncomfortable.
It would be very uncomfortable.
They're very iconic characters. They're a very iconic duo. So this was honestly the first time where I read a comic with the two of them in it. So I can definitely understand if you have a certain expectation. Like, I remember I had a girl in one of my classes in college. She was a huge fan of comics, and she loved the Joker. And she disliked the depiction of the Joker in with Heath Ledger. She didn't explain why, but she says he's not the Joker. So I can
That's
kind of
interesting.
understand where if you have a certain expectation of the character,
I
and
disrespectfully disagree with
she
it.
never went into much detail. I wanted her to.
No,
but
that's
she
a pretty.
just,
That's a pretty common.
Actually, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I've heard that
Yeah.
before, too.
and I
still disagree.
can kind of
Yeah.
understand if there's a certain expectation, and then you see something where it's like, okay, like as Joe said, this is a K-pop idol. Like, this isn't the Joker. Like, I get it. Like, I completely get it. What I appreciated about the comic was the whole conversation about what makes a monster, and how humanity, like, I love the scene when Batman is pummeling the Joker and everyone is gathered to watch.
Yeah.
And Harley is saying, like, so he's the monster, but look at everyone. And the way in the illustrations the people get warped
Yeah.
and twisted.
Yeah.
I love when she has one of her dream sequences where the monsters are wearing people faces, or the people have their people mask on, but the monster is lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And how all of us have the potential to become that monster, but we have the veneer of civility, and we have society, or even like the
And a
notion of
conscience?
yeah, like, well, that too, but even the notion of when is violence justifiable? Well, if it's Batman pummeling the Joker, then yes, the more violent, the better. But if it's the Joker, well, because he's the Joker, like, his violence is unacceptable. And I like those, like, that was the part of the comic that I enjoyed when they explored those themes.
Yeah.
And how Harley sort of realizes she's being manipulated, but at the same time doesn't realize that he's manipulating her.
Yeah.
Cool with it.
Yeah. But that's what I really loved. Yeah.
To your point about the Joker being drawn the way he is, I interpret it more of like Harley's perspective of the Joker.
I can definitely see that. I
And
thought about that too.
how
but
she's like looking at him pretty much through rose-tinted glasses.
yeah.
Because she wants her project to succeed. She wants him to be responsive to her work. And the only way I think she can see him is in that way.
Yeah. All right. I things I liked about this. I know I've been goofing on K-pop Joker, but I do think he was very well written here. I think he had some good jokes. Honestly,
Yeah.
he was
Great
funny.
one-liners.
I always love that. Love the funny clown.
I really like
Yeah.
when the therapist line, when she's like looks scared in there, and then he's like, "You should try therapy. It's worked wonders for me."
Yeah, and honestly, I think again, like the K-pop Joker just kind of clashed with that for me, because I was like, I could read this as like the classic Mark Hamill voice.
How did you feel about what's his name? The latest Joker iteration.
Leto?
Yeah, how did you feel about his depiction of the Joker?
Leto? Oh, he was bad.
Yeah, no, I didn't like Jared
okay.
Phoenix, like from just Joker.
Yeah.
I thought Joaquin. Thought he was a fine Joker. Thought it was a terrible movie, but
Yeah. Okay.
honestly, and I feel crazy saying this because everybody seems in
Harley
agreement
Quinn
about
crazy,
it.
or
But I guess so. But the art did not do much for me. It
Really?
felt very static.
Oh,
And
okay.
occasionally there were just moments that felt a little messy. Like there was one part where she's talking to Poison Ivy and she gets like this like border around her, which I like the idea of doing a border with plants around her. That's
Yeah.
nice, but it looked like very like kid pixie, for lack of a better term. Like you could see leaves on it were copy and pasted and kind of cut off in weird spots.
Oh,
And I thought,
okay.
I was like, that's a really weird thing to make it into like a this was like a prestige book.
Yeah.
It was
All right.
done in like a hardcover format and stuff. Like, so I was just kind of surprised at that. And
Yeah.
but yeah, and just I felt like a lot of it, like there's a lot of talking in this comic, and I'm not against a talky comic. I've enjoyed a ton of them, but I felt like the art needs to get more creative when you get talky. And with this, the dream sequences excelled with that. The dream sequences were all pretty on point, and I enjoyed the art in those a lot, but a lot of it was people standing in rooms kind of static. And I would have liked to see some more variations, or just like literalizations of like what they were talking about.
I can definitely understand that. I can see that point. One thing that I enjoyed, Harley develops a relationship with one of the security guards.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that guy.
And I was sad to see him go. It's unfortunate. But there's a scene when she's like at one of her lowest points and he asks, "Are you okay?" And the character gives a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I thought it was very realistic. Like,
Yeah, that
was
what
good.
I did like is that I felt like that would be a normal reaction because I've done that where it's like, "Yep, I'm good," or like the way you do it. I liked that. I liked her dependence on caffeine. I was like, I feel this. You need
I
the
liked her dependence on whiskey.
that too. I also
Rooting
liked.
for her to become an alcoholic.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't
I
want
also
that.
like when she interviews all the different characters, like the Croc guy, Poison Ivy. Like I thought the humor hit well. I didn't think, because sometimes the humor is like, okay, fine, enough of like that. But I felt the humor hit well in the comics.
Yeah, I liked Killer Croc in his
Yeah.
short appearances.
Yeah.
You annoy me now.
Okay, there were two villains where I was like, why are they in Arkham? Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Mr. Freeze was in there? Did I
Yeah.
miss Mr. Freeze? How did I miss Mr. Freeze?
Yeah, he's
Must
blue.
have. Yeah. I don't know how you could have missed him unless you weren't.
Don't they
paying
tell him to keep the
attention.
water cannon away from him?
Yeah, at the end,
down?
when the cops were, keep the water cannon away, Mr. Freeze gets it, we're done.
Oh, like, okay, maybe like.
But yeah, and I thought I saw the Penguin at one point, and I was like, he's just a mobster.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Like, I don't know. He's not crazy.
Because there was Croc Guy, there was
Yeah.
Poison Ivy, wasn't there the Mad Hatter? Or did
Yes, Mad Hatter popped up.
So when did I miss Mr. Freeze?
That must have
He was
been
one of
around
them,
when-
he was-
Yeah, he popped up in the interviews a couple
Oh, okay,
times. I
all
think.
right.
Yeah, in this when it was like all of them in like
Yeah,
the one.
they did not
Yeah.
spend too much time on him. You're not
Yeah.
missing much.
Yeah, okay.
I really liked. I also really liked the way it was written. I mean, I didn't mind the dialogue and everything like that. I thought it was a little heavy on the narration,
Yeah.
but I liked the dialogue, and you know, when we did the Long Halloween, I think my favorite part of that was really the Poison Ivy part, and I think my favorite person in this was Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
So like maybe I just like Poison Ivy.
You must. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like her though, and I like Harley, how she shows that she's paying attention when she what she basically says. Does she gift her a plant or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how like Poison Ivy is so happy.
Oh,
where-
yeah, she gets her a room with sunlight.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what it was,
yeah.
yeah.
Also, I think the comic is also trying, because that's one of the things with Harvey Dent, and since you mentioned, like, I want to talk about Harvey Dent's character in here too.
Two-Face.
Two-Face. Because there's very much this discussion about, like, when you look at people who have, like, committed crimes, if they're insane, like, basically you either have the compassionate approach or the approach, well, I don't care if they have mental issues, they've committed a crime, they shouldn't be here. And I felt like Harley was definitely on trying to get the more compassionate end of, like, treatment. So I saw her gifting Poison Ivy, who's a criminal, there's no doubt about it, with a room with sun. So basically you can still hold people accountable, but still have
them like a
humanity.
human, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and with Harvey Dent, he's very much, no, that doesn't, that's, that, like,
That's
he's not
how
about
you-
that.
That's not how you treat.
But I also loved, I'm sorry, I'll be really quick.
No, take your
go
time.
on.
In the comics, his depiction of his two sides and how like the split that's the side that's
The
damaged
judge,
is manifest
Yeah.
as a physical entity. Someone may have found that heavy hand. I actually liked it.
No, I thought that was cool, too,
It
yeah.
manifests, and the wispy nature of that like manifestation. It's like the like forget your morals or whatever. Like it needs like I liked that.
Yeah.
It's-
Even he starts saying we.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
Harley notices that. And
Yeah.
she's like, what do you mean we?
It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
easiest gag in the world, but I love it every time when they divide his face with the panel lines.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, of course you gotta do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really felt for him as a character, sort of. But then he was at a certain point. I was like, okay, we gotta
I
get.
just-
I wanted less Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
little bit for me too.
I understand that, but then narratively, how then would anyone escape from Arkham, like the Joker
mean,
and stuff like
there's-
that, without the vigilante cops coming
You can-
under Harvey's?
I just don't think I needed. I think Joe said it before too. I don't think I needed the telling of how Harvey Dent became Two-Face again.
Yeah,
Oh.
it felt kind of like, all right, we're here for Harley's origin story.
Right.
We're spending a lot of time with Harvey Dent, and
Okay.
and I don't know.
Well, and
I've seen his origin story done better, so it's kind of like,
Right.
all
Oh,
right,
okay.
you. you're giving me like a side dish here that's like
yeah.
eh.
And I do agree with that, and I feel like that more time, like splitting Harvey's time in half and using the rest of that half to be on Harley would have been a better use of the comic's time, because for most people we all know what Harvey's origin story is, and I feel like keeping that out of the comic book and just having like Two-Face show up probably would have given more interest in Harvey and Two-Face and how he became Two-Face, I think. But
I think, or maybe if we're going with, if, like you mentioned, maybe the intention may have been to continue the story, maybe that could explain if that had been the intention. So, Joe, you mentioned about, like, some of the static nature of the images of the comic.
Yes.
So, like, talking about... I'm sorry?
I wasn't done with Harvey Dent yet.
I'm sorry. Continue with Harvey Dent.
Just real quick, and maybe I missed something, so just tell me if I'm wrong. I'll admit if I'm wrong. But if you are mad because these criminals weren't executed, right? Mm-hmm. Why are you breaking them out of Arkham?
So he's like, I gotta punish everybody, so then they support the death penalty.
Yeah, that's why.
Doesn't that seem like a bad plan?
Yeah, no, this is bad.
It is a bad plan, and I think it's like, but it's like Harvey at this point is now Two-Face, and Two-Face wants the criminals out because it's mayhem and carnage, not because he wants people to be in favor, people of Gotham City to be in favor of the death penalty, and these criminals just be
it's
put
also
to death.
It's like Mr. Dent, that is a half-baked plan there, buddy.
I think also if his whole goal is to show, like, okay, if you want to play compassionate, hold their hand, give them cookies and milk or whatever, fine. I'm going to unleash them again on you, and then you'll change your mind. So I wouldn't put it, like, logically, yes, if you're a sane person... Unleashing all these people is not ideal,
and I think.
But at this point, he's given over to the other side, and
I think too, it's like to push the narrative of like morality. What's Harley going to do now? Is Harley going to side with the correctional officers in Arkham, or is she going to side now with the criminals of Arkham? And what her ultimate decision is, because. As we all know, spoiler alert, she joins the Joker. Yeah.
So you were saying about the static nature. I'm sorry before I...
No. Because I remember what I was going to say. Because you mentioned the Long Halloween. Yeah. And one thing that always stands out is Batman's cape.
Yes.
How? And I'm not an expert, so, like, I can't adequately explain what I'm trying to say. But I like, in those panels, the cape has a life of its own.
Yeah.
So, what was my point? Okay, so, like, if you had to talk about those two comics, would you feel like the art in The Long Halloween does sort of what you kind of wish was happening in some scenes in this comic?
I mean, yeah, Long Halloween's much, they're going for a very different stylization, obviously, but there's just a lot of motion within those panels. It's hard to quantify that kind of thing, but, like, I don't know, just the posing of the characters and stuff suggests a lot more, like...
No, and I did, because, like, the scene especially when Batman jumps on the plane that the Joker, there is a lot of that feeling of movement. Although technically a moving plane isn't static, but there is that sense of movement where the cape almost looks alive. And I definitely get the two art styles are very different. There's a different vibe going with it. But I just, that's why I brought it up.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I really liked the art in The Long Halloween, but I also I liked the art in this for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm just kind of the crazy one on this.
No, I don't think having a certain expectation or whatever is being crazy. I mean, like I said, I'm coming from someone, I've not read these comics. I don't know these characters outside. Like, my first introduction to the Joker was Jack Nicholson's depiction of him, and I was like, oh, okay, he fell in a vat and he became insane. Awesome. That's like, that's my only introduction. Harley Quinn, like, outside of a few instances of seeing some images from cartoons, like, I have no idea about her origin story. I just know she's the Joker's side chick.
Yeah.
they kind of sort of have a twisted,
So,
loving
yeah.
relationship.
Is she his side piece? Does
See,
he have a front piece?
No, he does not.
No.
Well, like, I don't know. I
Or is the criminal underworld his front piece?
I interpret the Joker as largely asexual. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not interested in Harley for,
No.
like, romantic or
No.
sexual
See, like in this
reasons.
one, like I believe
Here,
it
they
may
play
have
it differently.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that
Yeah.
because I would kind of like, even if you're going to use someone, at least care about the person you're using. So, like, that's how.
I mean,
if you're
as
gonna
much
use
as the Joker can care about
Sounds
anybody.
extremely toxic.
Yeah.
their relationship is toxic. So I'm going
Yeah.
with, if this, like, okay, fine. If I'm going to support this toxic relationship, which I will admit, reading this, I was 100% on board. I was like, yes, get together and be toxic.
Oh yeah, me too.
So it's like, I'm not saying toxic relationships are good, but in this story, they have a very. But I wanted to really believe that he was slowly starting to care in his own twisted way, as much as he can care about anyone outside of himself, And also, like, I liked when he's talking about his scars, how he got it. It reminded me of Heath Ledger talking about how he got this, like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
his thing changes depending on who he's talking to.
So, Harley was originally created for the TV show, like I mentioned, but she was originally only meant for one episode as just kind of like a random background character for jokes where like she'd tell a joke and the henchman would laugh and Joker would get mad at her.
Yeah.
And then Paul Dini, one of the writers, got his friend Arlene Sorkin to voice her. That ended up influencing the name, of course. And she just brought a lot of energy to the role and a very, like, loud Long Island
New York,
accent.
yes.
Like, a lot of brash attitude. And people were like, this is really fun. So
Yeah.
they expanded her, kept her in the cast, and made her the Joker's girlfriend. And eventually they wrote a one-shot comic. It's the same team from the show, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, called Mad Love, which I actually read this morning before this.
Really?
Great stuff. Highly recommend it. It's super fun and very much in the style of the TV show. It goes through her origin, which honestly, it's not too far from here. It just handles it in a very different way. Like, the tone of this one's a lot more, like, darkly comic.
Yeah.
And a lot more, they're drawn like the cartoon styles.
Nice.
But it's very expressive, very cool stuff. And, yeah,
Were you able to read that off of Hoopla?
No, I had to track it down on my own.
Oh,
So just
okay.
quickly, not to sidetrack us too much, but I don't think it's a sidetrack. So of the Joker representations that you've seen put to screen, what would you say is the one you feel most embodies the characters and you really enjoy?
I'd say the animated ones with Mark Hamill. Like, I
Okay.
think, honestly, that voice does it
Yeah.
most of the
Okay.
time. But, like, yeah, I think I think the live action ones, it's tough to adapt comic books to live
Yeah.
action. Like, but out of those, I don't know.
Yeah, because there's so many different renditions of the Joker.
I
Live
guess
action.
It would be Ledger, but even
Okay.
that's pretty far from the comics. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he gets a lot of the attitude very right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite for me is Heath Ledger. I don't know if it's the best, but it's my favorite.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, he's amazing in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely what I grew up on, and that was the cartoon. Because Mark Hamill's voice as the Joker, and even the video game character is really good. Because again, it's Mark Hamill's voice, and when I was reading the comic book, I don't know about anybody else, but all I heard was Mark Hamill's voice. So that iteration of the Joker, it kind of just does it for me. Not to take any accolade or any performance away from Heath Ledger. I thought he did a very good job, but if I had to choose, it would be Mark Hamill's voice iteration of the Joker.
I know obviously they couldn't be here because it's before she's really Harley, but I wish her hyenas were here.
He has hyenas?
Yes, Bud and Lou.
That's great.
How does she get hyenas?
I don't know.
How does
She
tame
just
them?
does.
Okay.
I guess she just does.
Bud and Lou. Now I'm thinking of Lion King, the hyenas in there. Like, that's what I'm picturing now with her hyenas.
Very cute. I like it.
What was the movie that came out, like, I say a few years ago, but it was probably more than a few now, and it was like everybody was talking about it because it was rated R, but it was a cartoon. Is it The Killing Joke? Is that a movie?
Oh, that one's bad.
Is it bad?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the comic's good, though a little edgy at points.
Yeah.
But it's Alan Moore, so like it's very well written and stuff. It's the Joker's origin, a potential Joker origin, and like it's sort of his philosophy of like, oh, all it takes is one bad day to become like me.
Yeah.
Which isn't too far off from his philosophy here. They're definitely riffing on some of that. But the movie does something truly bizarre and includes a scene just sort of invented for it where Batman sleeps with Batgirl, and it's weird. It doesn't,
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well. Read the comic, though. It's good. Yeah.
See, now that you called him K-pop Joker, that's going to be what he's going to live like that in my head now.
His hair was just too perfect. You know what I mean?
Like, criminally insane people can't want to, like, keep up their hygiene and their looks now.
I really liked the depiction in the nightmare sequences of the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, that's more of my... But when you said, it's maybe we're seeing it through her eyes, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe that is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't know, show me, like, in the art, show me, like a picture of him in the mirror not looking like that then. You know what I mean? Like, show me that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to say.
Simona, who are you drafting for your supervillain K-pop group?
I'd have to think about that. But now it's going to live rent-free. He's going to be K-pop Joker from now on. That's what it is. Can't do anything. But yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed like every panel. I love the end when he just moseys on in, like to save Harley, but he's kind of debating, but like he does it, and I was like, yes, because I was like, don't leave her. You invested so much time, so like,
You've invested so much time in manipulating her.
Yes, it's just like go for it, go all the way. So yeah, I did feel really sad with the security guard. One moment that made me laugh was when she takes him out of the straitjacket and the cop goes, "No, I'm gonna check it." And the way she just shoves the straitjacket back on him, and like his face, but he goes, "Just make sure you don't tie it too tight." She's like, "Of course not." Like I just loved that moment between them because that feels like something they would say to one another.
Yeah.
Like I laughed when I saw that panel because she's just like in a panic and she shoves it back on him and his like shocked face, and he's like, "But don't tie it too tight." I also liked. There's the one scene in her mind how their roles are reversed and she's in the straitjacket and he's the one, which is essentially a great metaphor for the fact that he's the one manipulating her this entire time and she just doesn't really realize it.
Yeah.
But she's perfectly okay with it at the end. Like she embraces, she's like, "Yep, you're manipulating me, but I'm fine with this."
Yeah.
And let's go off and do bad things together, kind of a deal.
Yeah, they do.
To your point about the mirror, like holding it up and like showing Joker how he is rather than through her lens, we kind of get that with her dream. Like he may be.
Well, I liked seeing that.
Yeah.
But is that really how?
So you want him to have like rotted teeth, like have a little wrinkle
No,
there?
I just thought that art was interesting. I thought that was interesting. And like I said, I generally like the way it was drawn. I just wasn't crazy about the way the Joker looks. I like the way everybody else looked.
Yeah. Anyone in particular?
Poison Ivy.
Okay.
Top notch.
He's a fanboy for Poison Ivy.
I don't blame you. She's very attractive. So yeah, I love the scene too where like who's the one that gives her the dirt? Is it Harvey Dent who sprinkles the dirt?
No, the two executioners.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and she like, and that's how she's able to blossom. Like, yes, I have my dirt now. I like how Croc is just interested in eating everyone. He doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to eat you. Yeah, I love that whole chaos of like everyone being let out. It reminds me of I'm not gonna say a Buffy scene, although it does, but there's a similar scene.
It's really like just the text, isn't it? Just everything from Buffy.
Well, because even like when you were mentioning how Harley was supposed to be was supposed to be a one-off character, so was Spike. He was meant to show up and leave, but he became a fan favorite, and they kept him on the show.
Well,
but
actually,
anyway.
I think that they were inspired by Harley. They said. Just kidding.
But I'll go to another show. What's the
Charmed?
one? No. The horror movie.
Wow, that was.
Oh, I forgot what it's called. Where like all the monsters in a containment field, and there's a people that go in there because they have to be a sacrifice to this god.
What?
Oh, is that the Nicolas Cage? They made a
No,
remake?
no. I'm trying to remember.
The one where they're burned alive?
No, you're thinking
No.
Wicker Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
No, they
No.
go to like it's. They're supposed to be like the stereotype. I can't even remember now. The producer of Buffy, his name is like escaping.
Joss Whedon.
Yes, Josh Whedon's the horror movie that he made.
Oh, Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. There's a scene also where they just unleash all the monsters and like just chaos erupts. So that's looking at the scene where all the criminals like get unleashed reminded me of that as well. Since I didn't want to go too strongly on the Buffy, I was like, here's another example that's not Buffy that I had the same image in my head. How you just want the chaos.
I didn't know Joss Whedon did Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
See?
You learned something new.
Terrific.
Just like me.
But like that's what you took away from that movie? Like not the fact that it was like an experiment and they were like
I haven't watched the movie. I was just.
how can you reference a movie you haven't seen?
Because you saw the clip.
Because I know the premise of the movie. I know why the people are sent there. I know why the monsters are there. And I've watched the clip when they decide, okay, and they release everyone from their containment.
Why do you do that to yourself?
Because
Why don't you enjoy the movie?
I'm surprised you didn't spoil it, the ending for yourself.
I know the ending.
Of course she knows the ending.
But anyway, my whole point in bringing that up is when I saw that scene in the comic, I was like, okay, and this is the mental image that popped in my mind when I looked at the comic. My God.
I want you to enjoy movies and TV shows without spoiling them.
But how do I know if I'm going to enjoy something if I don't spoil it for
There's
myself?
something so magnificent
What?
about...
That was counterintuitive.
I did that with Hannibal. Before I decided to watch Hannibal, I spoiled the entire first season, and then I was like, this is what I want to watch.
But one of the, like, I think about, like, the
You're not
great...
gonna win this.
Like, some of the best feelings are, like, when you are, like, truly shocked by a show or a movie.
But
where
I
you
can
really...
spoil something and then be genuinely shocked.
How?
Because it's a while after I watch it, so like I forget why I was initially intrigued. And listen, you know how I play Wordle? Is my logic that surprising to you?
No, she plays Wordle, just not in a great way. Not in an efficient way, at least.
Anyway, so that was my whole point. That's what it reminded me of.
So should we... what are we rating this out of?
Harley Quinn's Nightmares?
Mallets.
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 Harley Quinn's Mallets.
I like it. Who's starting? I'll start. So, like I said, I like the art in it. I had some problems with it. I generally liked it. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 mallets.
Oh my god, that's like
Wow.
probably not counting the Bubble episode. That's like the
Bubble
lowest.
got like negative. Bubble's the worst thing in the world. This is the Godfather compared to Bubble.
Oh.
You know?
Hitting it with a solid 3 mallets as well.
4.5 mallets.
5 mallets. I'm all for K-pop Joker, and I'm all for that toxic
romance.
relationship. Yes, in like the literary sense. Because again, I'm not talking about like promoting toxic relationships, but in this comic, it works. K-pop Joker is giving me the feels, so I would totally be Harley, unlock him from his cell, and just rampage with him together. There. I've said it. And I'm not taking it back.
Don't take it back.
No, I'm not.
They're
so
not
it's
real,
5
it's
mallets. 5 mallets. I loved it. I really enjoyed reading this comic. It's K-pop Joker.
You would rampage with him, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, Simona would immediately start killing cops with the joke.
Interesting.
He's a K-pop Joker.
I think he has a good single one.
I you know what I'm going to do? And if you can put this, oh no, maybe I shouldn't, because then the stands would come after me. I gotta find a K-pop star that I kind of feel matches that, and I'm gonna send it to you. And then we can put that K-pop matches that vibe for me.
Well, on that note, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And our next comic is Joe's.
Yes, Animal Man by Grant Morrison. So stay tuned for some postmodern fun. See you next time.
Not doing a Batman comic next time.